Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, whenever you're watching this, welcome. It's a very warm summer day, approaching 2 weeks into a heatwave, so what better way to cool off than a wade in the river? And this stretch of river, well, my friend James of the currently dormant YouTube mudlarking channel Find and Create has kindly revealed to me that somewhere within the next few hundred meters heading upstream there is a new to me old dump site, so I'm heading towards it to have a good look around and see what modest treasures there are to be found. First find is plastic, I think part of a cell phone, pre-smartphone styling, and it looks like a bit of copper wire. More than I was expecting, and a lot to untangle. Some cloth, some plastic, some wire. Quite a commonplace mixture that I come across, and always a bit grotty to handle. More plastic. There's actually very few man-made things evident in the water. I do hope I'm in the right place. Every other old dump site I know of that sits right next to a river or stream, they do tend to leak things. This is modern, part of the handle of a tool, maybe a rasp. Anyway, that's how I found so many old dump sites, following pottery sherds and vintage glass upstream until I see where things are spilling out of. First piece of vintage pottery. Oops, dropped my wire. Blue and white, probably willow pattern, and very river worn. Has most probably travelled several miles, not from the old dump site I'm looking for. A heron feather, a rusty, maybe a pram wheel in the water. More wire. That was only worth the effort if I consider it as trash removed rather than treasure found. Such a small elastic band. Rubber isn't really a pollutant, but the additives might be. That kinda looks like the underside of a Belfast sink. Very broken and very heavy. Is that? It looks like a little rabbit. It is, and I'm not sure if it's ceramic or plastic or rubber. Nothing on the underside, and it's very hard, doesn't yield to fingernail pressure as I'd expect from both plastic and rubber, but doesn't exactly feel right for ceramic either. I'll take it and find out later. I've just found this blue glass rod. Certainly vintage, antique, possibly from cottage industry bead making or industrial chemical stirrer. Either way, it's quite likely it's come from the dump site that I'm looking for. Other side of that riffle looks like a likely spot. First piece of brass for today. I'm not sure what from, not right for a pocket watch piece. Maybe a travel clock face surround, maybe something industrial. The patina says it's quite vintage anyway. Still no sign of anything definitely dump site, but I reckon this riffle is as good a place to cross as any. Just have to go back and bag up all the piles of plastic I've made first. Okay, ready whenever you are. Carefully, carefully, reading the strength of the flow and carefully picking each place to put a foot. Put a foot wrong and I'll be getting wet. Actually, that's quite tempting today. third plastic drink bottle of the day. And a lot of old dressed stones. This looks likely to have all been part of quite a substantial building long ago, maybe a mill. This valley still has quite a lot, but it once had a whole load more. Might not have been quite accidental, and my legs are nicely cool now, but can't be carrying around a load of river water. It's heavy. Oh, yeah, vintage jar. Looks like 1920s maybe 30s. I don't want it, but it's intact, so hasn't come far. There's something else glass down there, wedged in pretty well. Nah, not going to happen. I'm not having a lot of luck finding a way through the impenetrable stands of Japanese knotweed that are lining this bank. I'm fairly sure the dumpsite is somewhere on the other side. Knotweed, nettles, and giant hogweed. Ha! And Himalayan balsam, with some native fern holding on tenaciously just beneath. Finally, found a place that might be passable. A bit of a tangle of branches to contend with first, but I can see something hiding up there. Looks like old electronics, and a traffic cone. That does not fill me with confidence that I found the place yet, but the old electronics might be worth a look. There sometimes be precious metals in such things. Alright, that looks like a power pack, and the rest very rusty steel. A desktop PC, I think, early 90s style. Missing almost everything that's good to scrap, at least for the type of scrapper I am, which isn't really much of one. Now what's that? Oh, a probably once squeaky dog toy. Hopefully this cartoonish representation of a dog never resulted in the dog that once owned this biting any less cartoonish, more actually alive dogs. I can be quite the cynic sometimes. Anyway, it's a bit on the modern side, as is everything else that's man-made that I can see here. This hillside does have a road running through it, and I suspect that a lot of trash still gets thrown over the wall by car drivers and walkers, and that makes me sad. More dressed stone and yet another sink, or parts of several. I mean, it's one thing for people 100 or so years ago to situate their dump sites right next to rivers, perhaps ignorant of groundwater movement and drainage and such. They built them on such land simply because it wasn't good for either building on or farming, too steep, and then it's quite another thing for modern people to throw their trash down a steep wooded hillside. Back down to the riverside where I spotted this. I think it's something to do with an old mill. I'm not sure if it's the axle of an old cart or part of a pulley system or something else, but something to do with a mill. Anyway, I'm still not seeing any obvious signs yet. There was an intact jar about 50 meters back, and then here, nothing. So I'm obviously not quite at the dump site yet. Still, I think the best way to find it amongst all this jungle-like summer growth, which could, I am fairly sure, completely obscure 100 bottle digger holes, is to find the stream. I think every single dump site that I've ever found by a river has a small stream running through it. No, that's not true. I can think of one, but that one does have a slope of displaced soil full of sherds and bottles all the way down to the riverside, which left a trail in the water of sherds and shards, and I'm not seeing that here. Still, if I don't find the site, I won't edit this footage into a video, and I'm quite okay with a day besides and in the river exploring. Ooh, the head of a swan. Porcelain and purely decorative, I think. I'm happy to take it, and might make use of it one day, a clay play day, Fimo and tinfoil and wire and imagination. This is the other side of that tree. Couldn't really film wading around it, I had to concentrate. But here it is, the stream. Well, no stream today, heatwave and drought ongoing, but water has flowed here and brought stuff downhill from an old dump site, and I shall follow it up right into the heart of a darkness. It's a bright sunny day in the open, but I think I'm going to need to get my torch out before long. The trees and the undergrowth are all fighting for the light, and not much is making it down to the ground. Here is fine, obviously, no plants growing, but up a bit, very dark indeed. Nah, I don't think so. A plain bottle, albeit nice coloured glass, isn't top of my list for taking today. Now, what else is here? If you happen to see anything interesting, then by all means shout out. Ooh, a bit of brass. You know, I bet there's a lot of little interesting metal things near the bottom of this stream channel, hiding beneath the dried up, fluffed up soil spill there. Lighthouse, brand, nice coloured glass. Sadly that's quite a chip. I think I have to leave it. I left my bag on the beach to make it easier going, climbing up, and guess where my head torch is? In hot and humid, my thought processing tends to go a bit mushy. Still, there's things here to look at. I'll take the roundabout way back to my bag. Bottle? No. I'm hoping to not take many. Not much space left at home. Little pill jar. I do kind of like these, but again, lacking space. It looks like brass. Yep, decorative, little, almost like a button, not quite. Possibly horse tack related, and I know the camera can't really see it properly because I need the head torch. And that is more brass, part of a gas, or more likely a paraffin lamp, I think. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. You'll be able to see it better in the roundup. Lights, camera, action, and immediately a sorry. Plants brushing the camera. I'm sorry to say I think that's going to happen a lot today. Broken. That's okay. What is... okay, a little amber ointment pot with a corroded lid. Not very elegant, but I'm up. And excuse me, Himalayan balsams, I mean you no harm, just coming through. Glass batteries. Fairly collectible amongst certain people. Not me, but I will collect this today for someone who restores such things and gets a lot of satisfaction from doing so. some more blue glass rod, and this stokes the desire to give bead making a go. Remind me when this video comes out. I've got materials and tools, and it's just a matter of remembering when I've got the time and energy. The base of a vase, very, very broken. Little shallow pot, no lid of course, that would make it worth taking, particularly if it had branding printed on it, and perhaps the lid does wherever it is. There's another marmalade pot. I'm not going to take them all, but they're good for carrying small things around the site in between bag visits. Oh dear, that looks kinda like radium paint. I can see a slight yellowish green tint, and if I look elsewhere so will the torch, and you might see it glow a little. Yes, I think it's radium paint, and I'm going to move it well away from the stream. The radium paint is now well away from the stream, so a much reduced chance of it ever poisoning wildlife in the river. I would take it away out of the woodland, eliminating all chance of it going into the river if there was a really, really safe way for me to dispose of it. Now, onwards. Viral jar, a bone marrow and malt extract preparation for children and invalids. And a mourning button, quite a nice one really, a very stylish way to advertise sorrow and loss. Late Victorian probably, and probably French glass rather than jet. This is going to take some getting through. Bottle stopper, a nice blue glass one. Is it blue or aqua? Hard to tell in this light. Finally, a bit of clear ground, and this shall be my camp for the next half hour or so. Ubiquitous tablespoons bottle. The terracotta. Missing handle scars. It was a mug. Third degree. A bit of probably brass melded with soil. I'll take it. Might one day have the knowledge to try refining it back to copper. Wow, so this is one huge spoil pile. Very neat edges. Well, I was reaching for a tiny bit of copper wire and the edges aren't quite so neat anymore. Let's just slide on down. The bottom edge of spoil piles is often where some good little finds roll down, or wash down and end up. Light bulb or valve, I'm sure someone can tell me. It's cool looking anyway, and I might take it. This bottle is embossed, let's see what with. Dr. Beach's Essence, looks like WC. WC and H, Hebden, Halifax. I'm guessing they were a chemist, and it's a nice little piece of local history. I'll take it. part of a light bulb, but not what I thought it might be. And that looks maybe like an ink bottle. Very wide though, high capacity, and I don't think I have one quite like it. Well, I probably didn't. I definitely do now. Another teaspoons bottle. I can remember a time when it was still a little bit exciting to find intact ones. Another bottle stopper, and it's still a little bit exciting to find these. I just like them. Oop, another bottle, and my ink pot is rolling down towards my feet. It's a poison bottle, poisonous and not to be taken. I'm taking it. I don't usually pick up paste pots, but this one is in amazing condition, and it's almost perfect for the light in a model lighthouse that I hope one day to build. Okay, wow, so this is where the spoil pile was before it was dug out. A big bottle digger hole carved into a hillside, and this is a big fallen tree. Well, the root system. All dump sites aren't the most solid ground to try and take root in. Nothing of particular interest to me sticking out. That's quite interesting though. A dense bank of Himalayan balsams, and it doesn't seem to be encroaching much on whatever this ground cover plant is. I wonder if it's got chemical defences. Does anyone recognise it? And that thing, tar covered, I can smell it. I think it must be a battery array. I've seen similar before. Aside from that, we've got bottles and jars and plants, and the closest thing to a tropical jungle that I think I've ever experienced outside of a hothouse. Missing almost all of the wildlife sounds though. It's very quiet. I think it might actually be too hot right now for the native birds to sing. Anyway, I'm here to look at bottles and such. Marmalade or jam pot. I do take these sometimes. I fill them with odd scraps of copper wire that are too short to bundle up, tamp it all down, and then it all drops out easily, filling my 2 kilogram crucible nicely. And there's another one. I probably won't be taking all of these. It takes quite a while for me to fill one. There's always more of them on almost every old dump site I visit, and when I collate all the little piles of finds into my bag at the end of the lark and find it's far too heavy to carry back to the car, most of them get left. That is a really big poison bottle. I'd probably take it if the top wasn't cracked, but alas, sadly it is. That I'll take. Brass bed knob. This is something that would have been on a dressing table once upon a time, and I'm not sure what it held. Gently down, I don't want, but I don't want to break it. Now then, I've seen over here what looks very much like a pile of pieces of ceramic doll heads. That's 1, 2, a hint of eyebrow, forehead, and mostly cranium. An ear. Ooh, and there's a full head. Not a doll this one, the head of a figurine, and I think I can give her another body, though it wouldn't be human-shaped. I'm just not that good, and animal shapes are plenty fun, whilst also being quite forgiving. So I could make a spider body for her, for Halloween of course, which is of course a year-round state of mind for a lot of people. More bits and pieces, and I think I am going to take them all that I can see, and who knows, there might be a full one that I could piece back together. A Ramsden's of Halifax with a vulcanite stopper in very good condition too. Might be an upgrade on the one I already have at home. And that one, I put the excess old bottles inside old ruined farmhouses for explorers to find, and most of them get taken. A piece of slag glass, nice green and blue stripes. I like this stuff, and I even quite like that I once thought it was obsidian I was finding. I do think making some jewellery with it is a possibility. Up. There's a tangle of branches and then a small cathedral of bottle diggings. I'll go around. I've actually taken my head torch off now, so with the blessing of that crow and very welcome natural light, let's look at bottles. Bovril. If it was Marmite, I might have taken it. My 16-ounce Marmite jar is in poor condition. and Sons. Let's clean it up a bit. J. Shore and Sons. Nah, nothing legible on the stopper. Rather a large bottle and not the prettiest. That up there, sometimes bottle diggers do as I do, using the pots to contain smaller finds and then leave them. Nope, just a leaf and some rather smelly mud. Not what I was hoping for. Still, there'll be something here to my taste. Poisonous and not to be taken. Why do I so rarely follow that instruction? Must I wear the rebellious streak that bloomed in my teenage years all throughout life? I don't really need any more poison bottles, do I? And yet I keep right on taking them. Is that black glass? I don't know. It might be 100-year-old jam, and I don't fancy finding out. A marble, green glass and bluey green swirls. Nice. Slightly smaller than most, but not quite the smallest I've found, and there's some wire. Yep, copper. My camera overheated and I had to change batteries, but along the way I found this, Group Line cough syrup. Nice bottle I haven't seen before. This, I kind of like the pattern on this, but it's the gold plating I'm taking it for. Infinitesimally small amount of gold, I know, but how much gold could I get out of the big box of broken gilded pottery pieces? A tiny, tiny bead is my guess. And then there's this, a big patch of bottles left by a kindly bottle digger. There's really only one bottle here that's catching my eye. This one probably once held something like vinegar or olive oil. I just like the shape. It's clouded over. I'm hoping for thunderstorms soon to break down the humidity a bit, but in the meantime I see a handle poking out. Guesses on a postcard for what it's going to be. Congratulations if you guessed just a handle. I guessed spoon, and I don't think so now because another piece that was possibly part of it, and the tines of a fork. That though, this nearly whole spoon was almost certainly once a spoon. Ooh, that complicates things a bit. And so does this. That is wood. Actually quite a strangely shaped wooden handle. And this, another strangely shaped wooden handle stained green with verdigris. I can't quite imagine using cutlery with handles like these. And that, I think, is probably the last of what I can see of interest up here. I was basically back up here doing one last visual sweep when I spotted the handle poking out. Time to go back and get my bags, which I've left down by the pile of dull head fragments. I don't think I had a really good look around there, so let's go. Spoons into the bag. That looks like an interesting bottle. Dog mixture. A mixture for or of dogs. Made by Bembo. That should be enough to find out which, if I actually thought there was some question. Into the bag with it. That sounded much worse than it was. My foot nudged something glass into something else glass at the same time as the bottle slid a bit in the bag. A cute little bottle in dark green, I think. And this, the colour of this, it was so dark earlier I disregarded it, but it's dark teal, quite a rare coloured glass. Bentley & Co, Huddersfield. Some chips, not the best condition, and that's undoubtedly why it's been left, but the colour means I will take it. I'll also take the pile I made earlier, which includes some brass, some blue bottles, and fragments of doll heads. I approached this mound from a different direction earlier, didn't spot all the stuff on this side. A little glass bottle stopper, lovely bubbles in the glass, a clay pipe, first of the day, and blue in the bowl, kind of small, might be a children's bubble pipe. I didn't look inside the teapot. There's a little bottle inside there. I don't think I want it, but the teapot's quite stylish and intact. I should bring Caroline and Phil here. Phil likes teapots, and they both enjoy searching old dump sites. Little doll's house toilet, quite a rarity. Clumsy, and that is a sure sign of encroaching tiredness. I think I need to start heading towards my exit. Anyway, it's quite broken. I'm not sure if I could fix it or not. I could certainly fix the shape, but could I match the glaze? That is perhaps quite difficult. I think I'll take it anyway. It's small and can sit in a future project box till I've decided or gained the skills. A bit of brass. Ooh, a clay marble hiding down here. Nice. I do enjoy finding marbles. Anything else? Why, yes, I see some more brass. That's rather a chunky piece that was probably once part of a bedstead, or maybe a gate. Other suggestions are welcome. A huge bottle stopper here, quite a bit of glass thickness on it, and a smaller one. I think I'll take both. The bag is not full, but it is rather heavy, and my exit point is somewhere over that way. A big glass battery looks to be in good condition, and I know someone who'd probably like it. It is good condition, and, well, I'll be coming back. And it's a little bit too heavy to add to the already heavily laden climb I've got to do to get out of this steep little rainforest today. My camera keeps glitching like crazy. I keep trying to cool it down, but my desire to film every find along the route out of here is not really compatible with that. So every clip for the last 20 minutes has ended in glitch, and I'm not sure if any of it's usable. Anyway, a little bottle, vibrant coloured glass, and a little bit wonky, so of course I like it. I'll take it. And another clay pipe, clumsy, tired fingers. And there it goes again. Oh well. A roundup time. That visit ended with me being absolutely exhausted for days, and with the battery a little bit melted inside my camera. It was a very hot day. Still, that site was, and is, and will likely remain for quite a while, a pretty amazing mudlarking spot. I've been there several times now, met some nice bottle diggers there, filmed with Caroline and Phil of Let's Go with the Johnsons there twice, and found some cool finds along the way. I've got 3 more videos filmed there waiting in the stack, so I do hope that you enjoyed the place because I intend to show it again. Also, I do hope that at some point I can meet up there for a lark with James, who very kindly told me where to find it. He's been renovating a house whenever he's been in England, lives mostly in Holland, and renovating takes a lot of time and energy, not much left over for mudlarking. I guess I'd be similarly indisposed if I could afford to buy my own place rather than renting, but there's not much danger of that anytime soon, especially considering that the houses I tend to want and obsess over, they're fairly impractical and therefore expensive projects, like the abandoned farmhouse in the foothills of the Cairngorm Mountains that I stumbled upon and filmed a walk around, and which just will not easily be forgotten. Anyway, I'm trying hard to concentrate my rather limited energies on smaller dreams for now, like getting more videos edited and done, finding a cheap solution for pre-scheduling daily pictures of rocks and pebbles to Instagram, maybe getting a fume hood for some precious metal refining videos in the future. You know, standard, commonplace, everyday things. Okay, back down to things that were once buried in the earth. What a lot of fragments of ceramic doll heads. More in one lot than I've ever found before in one single lark, and I think this might be the impetus to making a little Halloween sort of a rebuild, and a short video. Maybe not a great fit for this channel, I'll see how it goes. The other heads, the swan and the figurine. I do have a box for these, all the figurines I bring home go there, and they're ingredients for a hypothetical series of craft videos, augmentations and alterations, fantastical and perhaps a little bit on the gothic side. So what do you reckon, if I ever get these videos started and then finished, should they go on this channel? I'm open to the possibility of putting craft videos here as well as on a separate channel, and the ones I'd consider putting here would be the ones that use mudlarking finds as ingredients, but my style of crafting tends towards being a little bit dark, and so I'm asking, do you want such videos here? I'm planning other videos too, one of removing the gilding from broken pottery and refining a little gold button, tumbling and shaping slag glass, and maybe making some jewellery with the results. No video planned for clay pipes yet, though I might be interested in one day trying to make one. I think that's enough about hypothetical future videos for now. I should minimise over-promising when I so consistently under-deliver. Myalgic encephalomyelitis sucks. Gorgeous bottle stoppers, aren't they? Lovely bubbles in the glass. I am thinking that this bottle stopper deserves an attempt at repolishing, and since I'll be using the same tool for shaping the slag glass and grinding the gilding off for pottery pieces, it stands a fairly good chance of happening, if I keep it in the box with the slag glass. I think that this might be the most ornate Victorian mourning button I've found to date. It's not jet, it's French glass, but it's still something I consider to be a great little find. I was a little bit bottle happy on that trip. I think the heat got to me, broke down my resistance. It's quite a rare thing now for me to bring home anywhere near this many bottles, and some of these I won't be keeping. Some, though, I absolutely will. Beautiful glass. And the colour of this one, if I get around to it one day, then I really would like to make a rock tumbler big enough and with a barrel long enough to polish up some bottles, and this one is a prime candidate, as are a few more of these. The ceramic marmalade pot, I'm going to divert it from the purpose I originally brought it home for, and do something with it that might destroy it, but might just possibly work in the creation of something quite pretty, involving my forge. Most of these things too, brass and copper, I keep for forge projects, and I will get around to more forge projects in time because they're fun. Even though I'm not really any good at them yet, I have yet to succeed in any of my rather too ambitious casting projects, and I've set my gloves on fire twice. The glass battery and maybe these valves I'm keeping for someone I know who likes restoring such things. I don't really have enough things to make it worthwhile for him to make the trip over to visit yet, but I'm happy to save up these things. I think this dollhouse toilet is realistically beyond my restoration skills, but it does remind me that I once found an almost intact one, just missing the toilet seat, header tank and flush chain, a little project for a rainy day. The dog toy, I don't know, it's mildly amusing but I don't really want it. Should I maybe just leave it in a place where a dog can find it? Not littering as such, maybe leave it by a bench I walk past a lot, and dog walkers do too. A dog would find it and might appreciate it, but the dogs humans might not. Maybe I should just put it in the bin. That's the fines, and now the thanks. A big thank you to whosoever presses the like button, the subscribe button and the bell icon, writes a comment, replies to somebody else's comment, shares a link to my videos on another platform. It all helps. A big thank you to all of the kind people who've donated through Ko-fi, super chats during premieres, super thanks on video pages, purchases from my Amazon wish lists, or have sent things to my postal address. I am very grateful. A further thank you to people who followed either of my 2 Instagram accounts, and to all who've joined my Patreon page, still a rather new avenue for me. I do hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope too that you're looking after yourselves and loved ones as best you can. Thank you all very much for watching, and for now, goodbye.